At age 12, Sabrina Carpenter signed a contract she admits she didn't understand. She just wanted to sing. But that wish placed her inside the industry's most ruthless machine, where every Disney girl is taught the same rules. To break through, you have to sexify. Sabrina's transformation from home studio prodigy to manufactured controversy was not just ambition, it was a case study in pop stardom's hidden costs. So how did a musical talent become both the architect and the puppet of her own fame? The answer reveals what the industry never wants you to see. Sabrina Annlyn Carpenter was born on May 11, 1999, in a small Pennsylvania town. Even as a child, she was relentless about music, singing so constantly that her father built a soundproof purple booth in their basement so she could record without shaking the house. At age 10, she started uploading covers to YouTube, tackling songs by Christina Aguilera, Adele, and Taylor Swift. Her voice was raw but unmistakable, and the videos captured a kid who was not just imitating pop stars, she was studying them, trying to understand how to make a song her own. In 2010, Sabrina entered an online singing contest hosted by Miley Cyrus called the Next Miley Cyrus Project. She placed third with a stripped-down version of Pumped Up Kicks. The result was more than a trophy. It signaled that she could compete with kids across the country, and it brought early attention from people outside her hometown. She later said she grew up watching Hannah Montana, dreaming of a double life where you could be a regular kid and a star at the same time. By her early teens, Sabrina landed small acting roles, including a spot on Law & Order SVU. The real break came in 2014, when she was cast as Maya Hart on Disney Channel Girl Meets World. Maya was not the lead. She was the best friend, the one with the edge, the jokes, the trouble. The role gave Sabrina her first real platform, and suddenly, she was more than just a voice online. She became a face kids recognized, a name on lunchboxes and fan tumblers. That same year, she signed with Hollywood Records, Disney's in-house label, and released her debut single, Can't Blame a Girl for Trying. It became the title track of her first EP. Over the next 5 years, she released 4 albums: Eyes Wide Open in 2015, Evolution in 2016, Singular Act 1 in 2018, and Singular Act 2 in 2019. Songs like Thumbs and Smoke and Fire did well on Radio Disney and helped her build a loyal fanbase, but none of them became massive pop hits. She was everywhere in the Disney ecosystem, on soundtracks, in promos, at live events, but outside that world, she was still a familiar face, not a must-hear voice. Balancing acting and music, Sabrina carved a reputation as a Disney darling, someone who could handle both scripts and microphones. But as Girl Meets World wrapped up in 2017, and her early albums cycled through, a ceiling became visible. The industry knew her, fans adored her, but the wider pop world had yet to pay real attention. The foundation was set, but something would have to change if she wanted to move out of the Disney lane and into the mainstream. Major labels have a playbook for young talent, and Sabrina Carpenter's early career fit the template almost perfectly. By the time she was a teenager, her music and image were already shaped by a system designed to turn Disney stars into marketable products. In the United States, minors can't sign contracts without a parent or guardian. For Sabrina, that meant adults, parents, managers, lawyers negotiated the fine print while she focused on performing and recording. Like most Disney-era artists, she entered into multi-album deals that gave the label broad control over singles, artwork, and public image. The label owned the masters. The artist got a royalty check and a platform, but little say over which songs would be pushed, what outfits would be worn, or how her face appeared on a poster. Sabrina has spoken about the politics of her early years, recalling times when she had to agree to decisions she didn't fully understand. She said there were political things I had to say yes to, songs that were singles I didn't think were singles. It's a familiar refrain for anyone who's watched a child star grow up in the pop machine. The rules are clear. Play it safe, stay relatable, and don't outgrow your audience too fast. But the ceiling always comes. No matter how talented, Disney stars eventually hit a plateau. Famous, but not essential. The industry's answer is a ritual reinvention, one that has been repeated for decades. For women in pop, the next step is almost always a calculated pivot toward adulthood. It's written into the culture. Britney Spears in a schoolgirl uniform, Miley Cyrus swinging on a wrecking ball, Selena Gomez trading Disney sitcoms for sultry ballads. The sexify to level up strategy is an open secret. Push the image, sharpen the lyrics, and let the world know you're not a kid anymore. Artist development in this context means more than vocal coaching or dance lessons. It's about crafting a persona that will break through the noise, even if that means embracing controversy or changing your body to fit the mold. In academic circles, this process is dissected as a form of cultural engineering, where labels invest in choreography, stylists, and sometimes even physical transformation to maximize appeal. Lady Gaga's early years are often cited as a masterclass in premeditated evolution. Before the world knew her name, she and her team built the Gaga character from scratch, using fashion, performance art, and shock value to carve out a space in pop. For Sabrina, the machinery was less theatrical, but no less deliberate. Every move was scrutinized, every decision filtered through a lens of what would sell and what would trend. The system she entered as a teenager set the boundaries for her next act and made the need for a rebrand both inevitable and urgent. In January 2021, Sabrina Carpenter's name started showing up in places it never had before. The song was called Skin, and it was her first release with Island Records, a major label with a reputation for launching pop careers on a global scale. The timing was explosive. Olivia Rodrigo's driver's license had just gone viral, igniting a tabloid-ready triangle between Rodrigo, Joshua Bassett, and Sabrina, the so-called blonde girl at the center of a million TikTok theories. Within days, Skin was everywhere, dissected on Twitter, debated in comment sections, and covered by outlets that had barely noticed her Disney years. Headlines speculated about feuds, motives, and whether Sabrina was weaponizing the moment for attention. The move to Island Records was not just a new logo on her album art. It meant access to a different kind of machine, one built for grown-up pop stars, not Disney Channel alumni. Industry insiders know that a label switch at this level usually comes with bigger budgets, more aggressive marketing, and a wider lane for creative risks. For Sabrina, it also meant the end of the Disney leash. Her lyrics on Skin were sharper, more adult, and openly referenced the swirling rumors. The single landed her on the Billboard Hot 100 for the first time, a milestone that had eluded her during years of Radio Disney rotation. As the song climbed the charts, fans started comparing old and new photos, zeroing in on every detail of her appearance. TikTok and Reddit threads filled up with speculation about surgery, nose, lips, jawline. Even as Sabrina herself never confirmed any procedures, the speculation became part of the narrative, feeding the idea that her entire image was being rebuilt for mainstream appeal. Some called it natural evolution. others called it industry strategy. But everyone agreed this was not the Sabrina Carpenter they remembered from Girl Meets World. Behind the scenes, Island's marketing push was relentless. Playlist placements, press interviews, and a calculated drip of new visuals kept her in the public eye. Skin was not just a song, it was a statement, one that let the world know Sabrina was no longer playing by Disney rules. The controversy did not hurt her. If anything, it cemented her arrival in the adult pop arena and set the stage for a new era where her name would be impossible to ignore. July 2022 brought Sabrina Carpenter's fifth studio album, Emails I Can't Send, her first full-length release with Island Records. This was not just another pop record. Critics called it her most confessional work yet, full of sharp lyrics about betrayal, public shaming, and the fallout of internet drama. Songs like Because I Liked a Boy addressed the backlash she faced after the Olivia Rodrigo saga, laying bare the emotional toll. In a way, her Disney-era music never dared. Reviewers praised her for finally dropping the filter, describing the album as a coming-of-age story told through pop hooks and biting punchlines. Sabrina herself described this as a turning point. In interviews, she spoke openly about the transition in the last 2.5 years, the experience of signing with a new label, and what it meant to finally feel in control of her sound. The shift was obvious, not just in the lyrics, but in the way she performed. Nonsense, a track that started as a playful album cut, became a phenomenon thanks to her live shows. Each night, Sabrina would improvise a new outro, tailored to the city she was playing, turning every concert into a viral TikTok moment. Fans waited for these outros, clipped them, shared them, and turned Nonsense into a streaming hit long after the album dropped. The outros became a signature, part comedy, part flirtation, and pure performance art. The industry started to take notice. Critics who once dismissed her as a Disney leftover now saw her as a songwriter with teeth. Streaming numbers climbed. Her songs landed on major playlists. The buzz reached Taylor Swift's camp, and Sabrina was tapped as an opener for several international legs of the massive Eras Tour: Latin America, Australia, Singapore. Suddenly, she was playing to stadiums of 50,000, her voice echoing across continents. The momentum was unmistakable. For the first time, Sabrina Carpenter was being talked about not as a former child star, but as a genuine pop contender, an artist whose blend of honesty, humor, and strategic showmanship was finally paying off. The groundwork was set for something even bigger. April 2024 brought a tidal wave. Sabrina Carpenter released Espresso, and the song did not just chart, it detonated. Within days, it landed at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it shot straight to number 1 in the United Kingdom. Critics called it the song of the summer. Social feeds overflowed with clips of Sabrina in retro curls, thigh-high miniskirts, and platform heels, channeling old Hollywood glam with a wink. Every detail was sharpened: the fitted designer tops, the pastel palettes, the choreography that danced between camp and confidence. The music itself was a masterclass in pop engineering. Soft 80s synths, a relentless hook, and lyrics that packed double meanings into every line. Behind the scenes, the engine was just as polished. Jack Antonoff, the producer behind Taylor Swift's Midnights, brought his signature synth sheen. Ian Kirkpatrick, the mind behind Dua Lipa's New Rules, gave Bedcam its radio punch. Amy Allen, who has written for Harry Styles and Lizzo, became Sabrina's main lyric partner. In interviews, the team described marathon writing sessions in France, where ideas bounced between espresso shots and late-night voice notes. The chemistry was real, and so was the ambition. Every session aimed for a song that could dominate both the charts and the algorithm. The strategy did not stop with music. Sabrina's face appeared everywhere. In Rihanna's Savage X Fenty lingerie campaign, in Kim Kardashian's Skims shoot, and on a digital cover for V magazine. Each campaign dialed up the visibility, pairing her music with a hyper-stylized, sex-positive image. The short and sweet tour announcement followed close behind, positioning her as a headliner, not an opener. Streams kept climbing. Old tracks from Emails I Can't Send started charting again as new fans dug through her catalog. By the time Short and Sweet debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, Sabrina Carpenter was impossible to miss. The machine behind her had gone into overdrive, and every move was calculated to keep her in the spotlight. For a brief moment, it seemed like nothing could slow the momentum. The spotlight burned hottest when Sabrina's stage show collided with her Disney legacy. During the Short and Sweet tour, performances of Betcam featured silhouettes behind a backlit curtain, dancers in suggestive choreography, and Sabrina at the center, owning every innuendo. Clips raced across social media, sparking a digital crossfire. Some longtime fans, many who grew up with Maya Hart, voiced discomfort, especially when younger audiences showed up in the crowd. Others cheered her on, calling it overdue liberation from the Disney leash. The tension only ramped up with the release of the Man's Best Friend cover. Sabrina on all fours, a man's hand gripping her hair. Instantly, the image was everywhere, on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Women's advocates and feminist commentators split down the middle. One camp called the artwork regressive, arguing it played into old tropes of submission and male control. The other camp countered that shaming women for sexual self-presentation is its own kind of misogyny. Meanwhile, a third group, sex-positive fans, framed the pose as a deliberate provocation, a wink at pop's history of reclaiming taboo. And then there were the men, some celebrating, others just watching the drama. 4 audiences, 1 flashpoint. By the end of summer, Sabrina Carpenter was no longer just a pop star. She had become a full-blown culture war. Tour buses, private jets, and a calendar packed with back-to-back appearances. These are the receipts of a pop machine in full swing. Sabrina's rise wasn't just about viral moments or catchy hooks. It was also about the invisible labor behind every chart position. Her team includes stylists, choreographers, and digital strategists, all working to keep every detail on brand and every release in the public eye. Industry insiders estimate that a campaign like hers can cost millions, with major label budgets fueling playlist placements, global promo, and high-gloss visuals. Millions is what powers that visibility, but the machine's demands don't pause for exhaustion. During the Short and Sweet era, tour dates sometimes meant crossing continents overnight. One week, Dublin. The next, the American Midwest. Fans tracked her flights and posted about the relentless pace, wondering if she ever had time to sleep. Sabrina has pushed back on the idea that she's just a face on a poster, insisting that people think she's just sitting on her phone. But she actually writes her songs. Her name appears in the credits. But the system around her is designed to maximize output, not well-being. Other pop stars, Katy Perry among them, have spoken about burnout after years of non-stop touring and image upkeep. For Sabrina, the cost of staying at the top is measured not just in streams, but in hours lost to travel, pressure, and the expectation to always deliver more. Today, pop stardom is engineered as much as it is earned. Every chart hit is shaped by label strategy, not just talent. As the music industry pushes young women to trade authenticity for attention, the real cost is not just controversy. It is creative exhaustion and blurred identity. The next breakout star is already being built. The only question left is who profits when the performance never ends. Drop your thoughts below.